Land of Roar, Chapter 20. We don't just get to jump over rocks. We also have to climb a small cliff, inch our way along a rock so narrow it's like walking a tightrope covered in seaweed, and scramble through a tunnel dripping with seawater. But still the crow's nest doesn't seem to be getting any closer. Once, when Rose and I were staying with Grandad, we swam out to a diving platform in the sea. From the beach it looked easy, but I soon got tired and only managed to reach the platform because Rose kept me calm. There's no Rose to keep me calm now, just Win, a wizard ninja who keeps shouting "Magic!" at the top of his voice and laughing like a maniac whenever a big wave hits us. Win also does a lot of reminiscing and seems keen to focus on all the terrible things we've done to Croaky. "Do you remember when Rose stole his head?" he calls as he walks along a rock, his arms out for balance. "She put it on a unicorn's horn, and the unicorn ran into the forest, and Croaky went dashing after it, bumping into trees and falling over. Oh, and then there was that time we nicked the raven because Croaky had been terrorising the mermaids. You must remember that." "Kind of," I say weakly. And now the mist is so thick I can only see the rock that's directly in front of me. The crow's nest is completely hidden from view. This doesn't slow Win down. If anything, he starts to jump between the rocks even faster. "We tied Croaky to the mast," he shouts. "Remember? It was so funny. A bird stole some of his straw to make a nest, and the mermaids came to jeer." Win cackles, but I don't. We pause on a rock high above the sea. "Win, don't you think Croaky will have a serious grudge against us?" "Definitely. But when we get to the crow's nest, you're sure we can, beat him like we used to, even without Rose?" "Yeah, probably. Win, all we've got to help us fight Croaky, a scarecrow who can drain our energy just by placing his twiggy fingers on us and squeezing, is a wooden sword and some apples. Don't forget my lethal Wazikashi and my even more lethal magic." I shake my head. We've not thought this through properly. Rose used to come up with our best ideas. Maybe we should, I don't know, come up with a better plan? A better plan than going along the magic road, getting into the crow's nest, whacking Croaky and saving your Grandad? Win slaps me on the shoulder and the mist twists around us. "It's an amazing plan, Arthur, and don't forget I'm half wizard. Since you've been gone, I've learned some wicked new spells." "Really? This sounds promising." "Yes, I can even make fruit change colour. In fact, I'll get into wizard mode right now so that I'm ready." With one hand he pulls his hood up so that it makes a pointed hat. Suddenly the reality of what we're about to do sinks in. "Win, this thing my Grandad has, asthma, it makes it hard for him to breathe. If Croaky stuffed him, what will that do to his breathing?" "Well, I've never been stuffed, not properly, but when Croaky drained me, I felt everything sort of slow down. My breathing, my heartbeat." I shake my head. "Win, we can't risk mucking this up. Let's go back and find someone who can help us get in the castle, because if Croaky catches us too, there'll be no one to save Grandad. Or us." Arthur," Win is staring ahead. "I think it's too late for that." "What do you mean?" I peer into the thinning mist. At first I can't see anything, but then I make out a black shape. It's a figure standing dead still on a rock, arms outstretched, stick fingers spread wide. It's wearing a black leather coat, ragged and torn, which swirls in the mist. Its head hangs forward and a pair of wings tremble in the wind. A solitary crow sits on its shoulder. "Is that Croaky?" I whisper. "Yep," says Win, and automatically we shuffle closer together. "He's like those scarecrows we saw earlier, right?" I stare at the top of Croaky's head. Right now he's asleep, not at home. Croaky's always at home, says Wyn. Maybe he's having a rest, or doing it to freak us out. In a flash, Croaky's head snaps up and a pair of round button eyes lock onto mine. Wyn and I grab hold of each other as Croaky's stuffed arms flop down and his wings spring open on his back. The crow takes off with a shrill caw. Then Croaky's twig fingers curl into fists and a grin spreads across his pale, sack-like face. Definitely doing it to freak us out, whispers Wyn. In one swift movement, Croaky crouches, then springs forward and starts to jump effortlessly from rock to rock, moving closer towards us. Croaky's just a boy, like us, I say, gripping Wyn's arm. Wyn laughs weakly. Not really a boy, more a scarecrow with wings. I force myself to smile. You're right, he's just a big straw bird. With powerful legs and life-sapping hands and a deranged mind and... Not helping Wyn. I squeeze his arm tighter to stop my hand from shaking. Croaky pauses in a crouch, then bounds forward again. Wyn nudges me. Don't worry, mate. He's outnumbered. But I'm no good at fighting, I say, my voice a whisper, even though Croaky is still a few rocks away. In fact, I've never properly thumped anyone in my life. Wyn snorts. You've thumped Croaky 100 times. I mean, I haven't thumped anyone outside Raw. In real life, I add in my head. I don't want to thump anyone, not even Croaky. My voice rises in panic. At school, I was a playground mediator. Wyn's eyes flick back to me. What are you on about, Arthur? I'm trained to sort situations out using a bag of rocks, your fists, nunchucks. No, words. Croaky takes a flying leap and lands on the rock immediately opposite ours. His shoulders are hunched and his head is angled down again. Mist wraps around him. Words, Arthur, says Wyn. Words? Croaky will eat your words before stuffing them back into your mouth and dumping you and your words into the sea. Words are actually very powerful. Croaky's head lifts. But are words as powerful as him? Wyn hisses. Croaky's stuffed body ripples in anticipation and his wings pull back. He stares at me and his grin spreads even wider across his moon-like face. I'm so scared I have to remind myself to breathe. Arthur Trout, he rasps. I blink and try to swallow away my fear. Underneath his leather coat, Croaky's wearing ripped black jeans with straw poking out the holes and black high tops. His dirty yellow hair sticks out as wildly as his feathers. When did he get so muscly? I whisper to Wyn. Croaky's arms look overstuffed, bulging with straw. When he started eating mermaids. What? He smiles weakly. Joke. I feel faint. Wyn, do me a favour. Don't do any jokes, just for a bit. OK, but you need to say something. This is getting weird. He's right. It is. Croaky is grinning at me in silence. I clear my throat and force myself to look into his hard eyes. Hello? I say in a small voice. Wyn thumps me. Hello? Say something tougher than that. Croaky, we've not come to cause you any trouble. We have, shouts Wyn. Massive trouble. Now it's my turn to thump him. We just want my granddad back. I don't want to blame you for something you haven't done, but all the evidence seems to point towards you having stolen him. Croaky still doesn't speak. He just watches me, his button eyes glittering. Maybe stolen isn't quite the right word. I mean, maybe you were trying to help him. Was that it? If so, thank you for helping my granddad, but I'd like to take him home now. Please. Perhaps we could all go to the crow's nest and collect him. Croaky raises her hands and points a knobbly twig finger at me. "I'm going to get you, Arthur Trout." His voice is a rusty nail snarl. "I'm going to get you and your sister just like I got your pathetic, snivelling granddad." Something hot, like fire, stirs inside me, a flicker of something that I haven't felt for a long time. I let go of Wyn and step forward. "My granddad has never snivelled in his life." The wind whips my words away and Croaky's eyes widen in delight. "Oh yes, he has. He snivelled when I found him in that tunnel and I pulled him into Raw. He snivelled when I chained him up in my dungeon, and he snivelled when I ripped this off his back." He flings open his jacket to reveal that he's wearing Grandad's No Problema t-shirt. I shake my head in horror. What sort of weirdo steals an old man's t-shirt? Croaky laughs and points at himself with both twig thumbs. This sort of weirdo. But he still didn't shut up. So today I was forced to drain all the moaning and snivelling out of him. As he says these words, his hands press together in front of him like he's reliving the moment he crushed the life out of Grandad. "You stuffed my Grandad?" His voice is weak. "Oh yes, Arthur," he says with delight. "He's a scarecrow now." Horror crashes through me as hard as the waves hitting the rocks by my feet. Wyn puts his hand on my shoulder, keeping me steady by my feet. "Where's Rose, by the way?" says Croaky, his eyes flicking behind us. "I thought I'd be catching 2 little trouts today. Don't you two come as a pair?" I lift my chin up. "Rose isn't here," I say, and I'm actually glad she didn't crawl with me into the camp bed. No matter what Rose has done, I never want her to feel this scared. Croaky smiles. "Then I'll have to make do with what I've got. Do you think your Grandad would enjoy a dip in the bottomless ocean?" He peers down at the crashing waves. "It's difficult to swim when you can't move a muscle." I lunge forward, but Wyn pulls me back, shouting, "Weapons, Arthur! Weapons!" I stick my hand into my rucksack and pull out a wooden sword. Wyn holds his wazukashi in one hand and his wand in the other. "Wait," he whispers. "I'll hit him with a snaring spell. He won't be able to move, and then you can go up there and thump him." Before I can say anything, Wyn has leaped forward, raised his hand high above his head and cried, "Pigeon fudge!" There's a bang and stars and smoke burst from his wand. When the smoke clears, we see that the wazukashi is now tightly gripped in Croaky's hand. With a cackle, he swishes it through the air. "I think I did the sharing spell by mistake," cries Wyn. "Did I say pigeon fudge or smidgen fudge?" But we didn't have time to discuss Wyn's spectacularly rubbish magic, because Croaky has raised the wazukashi high above his head and is already leaping through the air towards our rock. "Run!" I yell.